Okay, today I want to talk about what's happening in the precious metals sector, namely silver and gold. Talk about rate cuts, talk about the new potential Fed chair. And so, a article from TradingView as of this morning, a couple hours ago, their commodity wrap shows that oil and gold are flat, while silver plunges ahead of Fed decision, which I believe is on December 10th, so less than a week away, and they're very likely to cut rates. But I find it funny how they say silver plunges, and then if we look at silver futures, okay, it is down 2% on the day, but it's still up almost 5% on the week, and obviously up massive on the month, 20%, and year to date up over 90%. So a plunge is basically still hovering around all-time highs. Okay, so they talk about oil prices, and something interesting I saw on Twitter recently. If you compare a price of a barrel of oil, which is, I believe, 42 gallons, to that of a silver round, a silver coin, and I've been buying, not affiliated, I don't get paid for this whatsoever, but 1 ounce silver rounds from SD Bullion. Basically, now the price of a single silver round, silver troy ounce coin is the same price as a barrel of oil. A barrel of oil might be a couple of dollars more, but that's crazy to think about how the value of silver has expanded. Okay, so they say gold prices edged lower with stronger equities, limiting safe haven appeal from the yellow metal. So, over the last couple of days, there's been a little more of a shift towards equities, stocks, namely. But still, obviously, if you look at gold futures, they're slightly up today, slightly up on the 5-day, up on the month, obviously up 60% on the year. And I saw this months ago. From what I see, gold runs first, then silver follows, and then some other commodities, kind of similar to how Bitcoin runs, and then Ethereum and altcoins and all of that. I don't really talk too much about crypto. I know gold and silver stackers don't like crypto, but I have a bit of crypto, and then physical precious metals, namely silver rounds, and then some ETFs and miners and things like that. So on the other hand, silver prices fell sharply, again, sharply meaning 2% off the all-time highs, as volatility continued ahead of next week's U.S. Federal Reserve monetary policy decision, meaning people think rates are going to be cut, making it cheaper to borrow. And for some reason, people are seeing that as a bearish sign for silver. Interesting. But on Polymarket, which is where I always like to look at, decisions financially, because people put a lot of money behind this, and the news isn't always completely accurate, but now we can see the chances of a 25 basis point rate cut for December from the Federal Reserve is now 94%. So basically a guarantee, according to this prediction market, that they will cut 0.25%, because we've seen job numbers are not looking good. This November, I believe, there was an expected slight uptick in jobs, and instead we saw, I believe, around 30,000 job losses in November. So the Fed sees that and they say, okay, we have a dual mandate, keep inflation in check, but also help grow jobs, right? Increase jobs, and jobs are ticking down continuously. And they didn't even release in October because of the federal government shutdown, but it's very likely the Fed is going to cut rates, okay, in December. So oil prices flat. I don't really cover commodities that often. I mean, it's particularly oil, but it is a commodity. And so prices climbed on Thursday due to the market's attention on Ukrainian assaults against Russian oil facilities, alongside the dampening of hopes for a deal that would reinstate Russian oil supplies because of stalled peace negotiations. So, you know, Russia and Ukraine fighting obviously has impacts on price of oil, because I do know Russia produces a lot of oil. Okay. Gold is steady. It's reaching strong weekly, reaching 4,265 per ounce, slightly off the highs, but still hovering up 60% year to date. And global share saw a slight uptick on Thursday, driven by the anticipation of interest rate cut next week, which is interesting, right? Gold slightly up on this news, but silver slightly down. Is that just because silver is more volatile? Is it because silver has a massive paper suppression, right? The amount of paper silver in relation to actual physical amounts. Who knows? But gold is hanging steady. And then if we look down at silver, despite hitting a new all-time high on yesterday, as I'm recording this, silver quickly reversed course soon after the European Open. It dropped sharply by 4%, settling at 56.62. This was another demonstration of the kind of volatility one can expect when silver gets going. Now, I am still heavily bullish on silver. Most of how I'm allocating my portfolio is in silver ETFs, silver miners, and then physical silver stacking 1 ounce rounds that I've been purchasing a little bit. And then I want to also cover an interesting read off from from Twitter. Let's look at this chart first. Now, this is the secured overnight financing volume. And if we look here from March all the way to December, we see silver price in green, Federal Reserve overnight funding in this purplish blue. And what do we see here? Is there a correlation? Well, to me, there is. The higher the price of silver goes up, the more the overnight funding, right, is increasing. Meaning, I believe the banks are running out of money. They need liquidity. They need to secure overnight funding to cover their asses, essentially. Very interesting how sharply correlated that is, especially this massive all-time high spike in silver and overnight funding as of extreme recency. Okay. What this gentleman says, macro liquidity, what we just discovered is shocking. Bullion banks are fighting a losing war to stop a nuclear short squeeze in silver. Okay. And this is already happening with silver at all-time highs. Something extraordinary is unfolding behind the curtain of global finance, and almost no one is talking about it. Look closely at the data and you'll see it. The banking system is in a desperate battle to contain a runaway short position in silver. So paper suppression, namely, to keep the prices down, shorting, covering their asses, needing to secure overnight funding. And banks hate, from everything I read and understand, banks hate when commodities, gold and silver, go up, because it's a thermometer into trust in fiat currency and our government and US dollars. Okay, So the evidence is now visible in the plumbing of the financial system itself. Over the past weeks, we've witnessed a mind-bending blowout in SOFR repo volumes, the secured overnight funding rate, occurring at the exact same time that silver is exploding vertically. And again, we look at this chart. This seems to add up. And yeah, this is a very strong correlation. So what happens here when this continues to run? What if silver goes up, now hovering around $60? What if it does break above 60? What if it runs to 70, 80, 100? Yeah, this is very interesting to see how banks, bullion banks and banks are kind of panicking here. So yeah, we see a price of silver all-time highs hovering. And then I wanted to cover one other thing very quickly, which is macro and it does play into commodities and really everything. Is Kevin Hassett is winning the Fed chair race before it's even ended. You know, Trump talking about who the next Fed chair is after Jerome Powell. They say interviews for the position are still underway, though Hassett offers what other candidates don't: the president's trust and credibility with the market. So Hassett is known to want low rates. Trump wants 1% interest rates, and so this is going to most likely show that QE, quantitative easing, will continue, low rates, and that just pushes all asset prices up. Bitcoin down in the last year to date slightly, but on this news, and I covered this recently, I believe this was when this started to go mainstream right here. So when money is cheap, borrowing is cheap, liquidity gets pumped, and that runs into speculative assets, and Bitcoin, arguably being one of the most speculative assets, has responded positively to this news. So a lot of macro events going on, still very bullish on future prices for silver, spot prices. And so I hope this video helped. See you in the next one.